Hey guys, welcome back to another command block tutorial. Today's video we're going to be making exactly what you guys just saw. We're going to be making this special chain hook attack where you can actually hook onto enemies, pull yourself in, and then do a huge damage smash attack on them. So yeah, it's kind of fun. It is a little bit complicated. We do have some fancy techniques going on. We're using some XP ray tracing, a little bit of scoreboards, but I promise you guys if you just follow the commands like you see on screen, you're not going to have any problems. But yeah, let's get into a brief explanation of what's actually happening, and then I'll show you the commands. So right here we have our pig as a target, and all that we need to do is look at the target that we want to go to, so the entity in this example. So of course you could actually make this work as a functional grappling hook. However, I am just using it simply to chain onto entities, but of course you could actually make this work on blocks as well. Either way, what we're doing is we're going to be sending out our hook, drawing ourselves in, and smashing it. Now, one thing I will say is that in my world, I'm having a glitch where the camera isn't easing like it should. So the camera command should look a lot better and kind of ease itself around with a lot more fluid movement. It's not working in my world for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's something in my world and it'll work for you guys. I don't know. But yeah, all we're doing, like I said, is looking at the enemy, holding an iron pickaxe in our hand, and sneaking. Now, I will mention if you're not looking at an entity, nothing's going to happen whenever you sneak. You actually have to be looking at the entity. And that's how it's going to work. So once you're looking at the entity, it's going to essentially summon an armor stand that's going to be functioning as the chain. As the chain's moving along, it's summoning in these leash knots, which kind of look like this kind of chain that's going out. We're being teleported along it, and then we're actually doing a big smash attack once we get to the end. So, pretty, I want to say kind of simple. It's not pretty simple, it's maybe sort of simple, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that's what we're doing. It's a pretty fun attack. It can be used for a lot of versatility. Maybe you guys don't have a map where somebody has to do parkour by jumping across pillars and killing enemies as they go. I don't know. You guys use it for what you want. That's up to you. And if you guys want to adjust it, of course, always feel free to do that. But let's get into what are the actual commands. You are not being used. So yeah, pretty simple, nothing, why do I keep saying that? It's not super simple, it's doable though. All we're doing is we're starting off, this command is just teleporting the pig above it, so you don't need to see that. All we're doing to start is a very simple ray tracing XP thing, so basically what we're going to do is figure out where I'm actually looking. And we're doing that by summoning an XP orb, having that teleport really fast to where I'm looking, and then, you know, doing the commands that I want it to do. Now, one thing I will mention is that this form of ray tracing is actually much better because it doesn't work through walls. For instance, you see pigs right there, just behind these blocks, nothing. But if I actually go around to where I can not be blocked by the blocks, then I can actually hook it. So this is a form of ray tracing that's not going to penetrate walls, and it's pretty good, I would say. So all we're doing here is tagging every XP orb with the tag hook D. Then we're going to be summoning in an XP orb every time the player is holding an iron pickaxe and they are sneaking. Then we're going to basically teleport this thing really fast in front of it unless there is an entity nearby, and that entity cannot be an XP orb, it cannot be named chain, it cannot be an item, and it cannot be a leash knot. If all that is the case, we're going to teleport the XP orb forward pretty quickly. Then, once the XP orb has reached its target, if it's near an entity, like actually colliding with the hitbox of an entity, so even bigger hitbox entities are easier to hook onto than smaller ones. So, anyways, once it does this, it's going to give it the tag hook target. Then it's going to simply kill the XP orb. Pretty simple, nothing too complicated there. I've used this form of ray tracing before. Next up, we're going to be actually checking at the player holding the pickaxe if there is a nearby hook target within 20 blocks. So after you mark a target with the XP orb, we're going to actually summon an armor stand named Chain. This armor stand is then going to turn invisible immediately because you don't want to see it. Then it's going to start summoning in these leash knots, which are going to kind of be like the visual chain for this thing. Then we're going to actually start teleporting this thing forward. So once again, it's not all that complicated. We're just teleporting it towards the hook target. Then we're going to repeat and actually summon the leash knot again and teleport it again. This just makes it look a little bit more consistent, but also move fairly fast. Then we're also going to be playing this use.chain sound as it's traveling out, so we can kind of have this chain noise. Then once the actual chain, that is the armor stand, hits the target, it's going to give the target the tag chain hits. It is then going to remove the tag hook target. And then of course, we're just going to kill the actual armor stand with this command. So at this point, what's happened is I've been looking around with my pickaxe. I see this pig, and so I sneak, and my XP orb is raycasted all the way over to this pig. It detects that the pig has been hit, gives it a tag. Back here at the player, it says that there is a viable target who has been marked by the XP orb. So we're going to summon an armor stand. That armor stand is going to shoot all the way over here, summoning leash knots as it goes, and then give this pig a different tag while removing the previous one. So now that the pig has this next tag, the player is going to start teleporting over. So pretty simple. All we're doing is, once again, just teleporting the player facing the pig or the target. Then we're actually going to be killing all the leash knots nearby because we don't want to just be lingering them. They will disappear eventually, so it's actually not a huge deal using leash knots for something like this. They actually die on their own after a set amount of time, but we want to just not have the lingering line because that would be weird. Then we're pretty simply going to have just a second TP commands and then a second kill leash knot commands. Then once the player has actually hit the target, we're going to give the tag chain attack or chain ATT to the actual target, and we're going to remove the tag chain hit from the target. So now the target is in the third phase, so now it has, instead of chain hit, it has chain at or chain attack for short. So now we do have a couple things as the player is traveling along. This is just going to be playing some riptide sounds as the player is moving. This is going to give them that animation as they're moving. And this is going to be adjusting the camera as they're moving to be following the player. Once again, it should be a lot smoother, but for whatever reason in these commands, the ease part isn't working. I'm not quite sure why. It should be a lot smoother, but for whatever reason, it's not working. So, yeah, that's what's happening. Next up, we are going to make it so that the player is going to have the tag see at upon reaching the target. If that's the case, they're going to be teleporting themselves in place. And we're actually going to give the player see at if they are within 4 blocks of the target. So basically, as the player is traveling along, once their hook's going out, once they reach in range of the target, then they're going to have the see at tag. See at tag means that the player is going to actually start the animation, and at this point you will need scoreboards. So we're going to do this, scoreboard objectives, add timer dummy. Simply do that, and it's going to create the scoreboard for us. So I'm going to set the display of the sidebar to the timer so you guys can kind of see what's going on. But basically, we're using the timer to control what's happening once the player reaches the target. Because we have a couple of animations that we want to do, a couple of camera commands that we want to do, as well as the damage, the particle, the camera shake, the play sounds, all that stuff is going to be controlled by this scoreboard, so it is quite important. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is on a 0-tick delay, anything with the cat tag, that means the player is in the process of attacking the enemy, is going to have the increased timer of 1. Then we're going to be doing the first camera command. This flips it around to be basically forward facing on the player as they're about to do the animation. Then as the timer gets a little bit higher, we're going to flip it so that the camera is basically flipping back to the position of the player. This is meant to make it ease back into the player's camera a lot easier. Once again, I don't know why this ease portion of the camera command is not working for me right now. It just isn't. If somebody knows some dumb mistake I made in the comments, do let me know. So then once we have the actual cat tag, we're going to remove the chain attack from the pig. So this is at timer equals 17. Everything at timer equals 17 means it's happening at the end of the actual attack. We're going to clear the player's camera at timer 17. We're going to remove the tag cat from the player. Then we're going to set the player's timer to 0 if they don't have the tag cat. This fully resets them and allows them to attack again. The last few commands are for what's actually happening in terms of the player doing the actual attack. So at the score of 5, we're going to play this animation at the player. This is going to make it look like they're lifting the pickaxe up in the air and then swinging it down. Then we're doing a little bit of a camera shake. This is just going to add a little bit to the impact force. Then we're playing the random.anvil.land sound to make it like a hard-hitting metallic sound. Then we're doing the knockback roar particle just to add some extra effects. And finally, we're going to be doing the actual damage to whatever is the chain attack entity. So of course, you can actually adjust this to be any amount that you want. 30 is going to one-tap most standard mobs in the game, but you can make this higher or lower. It's entirely up to you. So yeah, I went a little bit fast, but I hope you guys caught all that. Feel free to rewind and pause as needed. But essentially, that is all of the commands. And yeah, it is pretty fun because you can just... And you can, of course, just adjust the range. I made it about 20 blocks in this. But it's quite fun to just land those hard-hitting hits from quite a distance and pull yourself over to the enemy. I think I'm slightly out of range. There we go. So yeah, it's quite a fun custom weapon attack, so I really hope you guys enjoy. And if you guys need any help, feel free to leave it in the comments, or I do actually recommend joining the Discord because, you know, it's just a lot easier, and the link will be in the description. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye. Where'd that pig go? Oh, I know where it went. Are you guys still watching? I said go.